Hi, I'm Jacqueline Stewart, coming to you from the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures in Los Angeles. Thanks for joining me on TCM for more of our 31 Days of Oscar celebration. Each day we've been focusing on a different Oscar category. Tonight, we've got a lineup of movies that won the Oscar for Best Sound. Up first is a film that won 2 Oscars in addition to Best Sound, one for sound effects and the other for film editing. From 1966, it's Grand Prix. Set during Europe's Formula One racing season, the story follows 4 different drivers, the women they love, and the sponsors who make it possible for them to race. There's an American driver with a troubled past, played by James Garner, a Frenchman played by Yves Montand, a Brit played by Brian Bedford, and an Italian driver played by Antonio Sabato. The international cast also includes Eva Marie Saint, Jessica Walter, and the American film debut of Toshiro Mifune. Mifune starred in many of Japanese director Akira Kurosawa's best films, including Rashomon and Seven Samurai. Grand Prix was directed by John Frankenheimer, who was known for making psychological and political dramas like The Manchurian Candidate and 7 Days in May. Grand Prix was a departure for Frankenheimer. It was his first film in color, and it was a major spectacle, shot in Super Panavision, and originally screened in Cinerama. But Frankenheimer wasn't entirely out of his element here. The movie allowed him to tap into one of his greatest passions, auto racing. He was determined to make the best race car film ever made, and he refused to rely on visual tricks other directors had used, like rear projection or miniature car crashes. Many of the actors in the film did their own driving, and Frankenheimer created special mounts that attached the cameras to the dashboards to capture the action firsthand. The sounds of the races are expertly captured by Franklin Milton of MGM's sound department. As I mentioned, he won an Oscar for his work, and Gordon Daniel won for Best Sound Effects. From 1966, here is Grand Prix. Director John Frankenheimer later described Grand Prix as, quote, one of the most satisfactory films I've made. He was an amateur race car driver and loved making a movie about the sport. Filming in 70mm Cinerama also gave him the chance to experiment with a new technique. By splitting the screen, he was able to show footage shot from the driver's point of view and from a helicopter high above the track, which was much more interesting than just watching the cars go around in circles. Frankenheimer got the idea to use split screen from the Oscar-winning documentary short To Be Alive. It was a film about childhood that he'd seen at the 1964 New York World's Fair, where 3 screens were used to project 3 related images simultaneously. Frankenheimer's use of the split screen in Grand Prix inspired other filmmakers to experiment with the technique. Norman Jewison played with it 2 years later in his 1968 caper, The Thomas Crown Affair, and it was used again on the big screen 2 years after that in the 1970 documentary Woodstock. Up next, we're headed to the South Pacific for an Oscar-winning 1937 drama directed by John Ford.
Next on TCM, The Hurricane, then Strike Up the Band, and later, The Great Caruso. TCM's got the pipes tonight.